there's no inducement, there's no significance or successful win that I could have that could really take me away from what my balance is today, because that's the ultimate win for me. That's really what my definition of wealth is. It's the biohacking. It's having an anti-aging strategy to be 140 years old. It's having all of the time with my family and loved ones. And then just all the play and the travel and the fun.
Kris, one thing that in preparation for this, I was so excited is that when you look at what you've done and what you've been able to accomplish, it's almost like you're a mastermind, but I know for a fact it came to fruition this way. But in the core of it, there's the 5 equities of life for you that you could see as your priority. And then you're very intentional with it. How did it get there? Can you tell us a story about when you realized that was an important thing for you to make a priority in your life?
I had no ambition for real estate. My ambition, my dad was a German immigrant and basically said, Kris, get good grades and then go to college, and then you're going to get a job, and then you're going to be taken care of, because all he had was a 3rd grade Germanic education. So he was convinced, he was sold on that. And by the time I got to college, I had to work my butt off to get good enough grades to get into Brigham Young University. I did get in, and I took organic chemistry because I wanted to be a doctor, and it kicked my ass. And then I retook the class. I got a worse grade. And that's when I realized I want this. I'm not going to get this. This doesn't come natural to me. I need to figure out what's natural to me. And frankly, rather than academia, it's like street smarts was way more natural to me. So that year, while I ditched that my first year of college, I basically found 3 people that had each made over $10 million. Ironically enough, all in real estate. I'm like, that's the thing that I'm going to do. So I started just following them around, learning from them. And by the time I graduated college, I basically had a small portfolio of 25 homes, and they were paying me about $12,000 a month. And I quit my job, and I didn't need to work. And all my buddies were graduating college to go get their job, and I never needed to work again. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I should systematize this, and then turn 25 homes that next year, turn into 50, and the year after 100. And that was 6,500 homes ago.
Holy crap, man.
Wow.
That's insane.
Who were those 3 people that you met that were all in real estate? Are they people that we would know?
Dude, no, none of them are knowables. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was literally a neighbor across the street from the first house that I bought, who looked like he lived, dressed at Walmart. He didn't look like money. His house was a tiny little home. He was wealthy and he had nothing. And so he fascinated me, and I did a lot of deals with him. The next guy was the opposite. He was in the process of building a 14,000 square foot house, and he had lost all his money twice. And so learning from him was interesting because he had failed and lost it all, but come back. And so I liked learning from, his name was John Sorensen. And then the third individual was someone that I actually did some pest control with as a college kid for just a little bit, who had made over $10 million. I met him at a community church class, and my wife and I are sitting there, and it's like lesson 5 on budgeting. And he ends up telling us, he was talking about budgeting, but he sounded like he didn't have a care in the world about money, and he wasn't bragging. And I just knew I needed to talk to him after. He's the first person I met. And he's like, oh yeah, I just got back, and I've been traveling the world for the last 10 years. I haven't worked. I'm like, what do you mean you haven't worked for the last 10 years, dude? And he said, well, I did this thing called real estate. I had no idea what it meant, but he was the first one where I was like, I don't know what real estate is, but I want that thing.
Yeah.
And so I caught the bug with him, and the other 2 I learned from.
I love that. Now, when you were seeking out these mentors, I know that at least from my perspective, when I'm seeking out mentors, I almost have to feel worthy to get their attention or get proximity to them. How did you overcome that mindset?
I was just a total imposter. No, I just begged. I'm amazed at how many people have a path to get what they want. They have a reason for not doing it. I was never that guy. I was just like, I got nothing to offer you. But I thought if I could be the most ambitious, the most excited, the one that they could trust to implement, I thought that might mean something. Yeah. And for all 3 of them, it did. Well, I got fired from one of them. One of them, I kind of found out where he lived, and I went to his house at 11 p.m. at night. And this was Yellow Page days, no internet. And I knocked on his door, and I'm like, please teach me real estate. He slammed the door, never talked about it again. So I was just never afraid to ask. I knew that I didn't have anything to offer, but I would have begged. I would have tell me what you want me to do, and done. It's a deal. I'll do it. So that's kind of the way that my personality is.
I love that. John makes fun of me because I'm the same exact way. I've sent my current coach gifts baskets to his house, blending machines. When I found out he was sick, I was sending him juicers.
Well, that's how you got him to be your coach.
Yeah, well, obsessively doing
that. He had to lift the restraining order.
Yeah. And eventually agree to take my money and coach me. Now, so you got the proximity to these mentors almost, and then now they open up they exposed you to this world of real estate.
Yes.
Now, once you're exposed to real estate, I guess one of the poisons of real estate is people get addicted to the way that it makes, like how much money you can make in it, and they neglect
Yep.
everything else in their life. They'll neglect their personal life, their faith, everything else. How did that look like for you, or was it always balanced?
No, it wasn't always balanced. I also believe in mastery, and mastery, Malcolm Gladwell says it's going to take 10,000 hours. And I always tell people there's 4 things that you should master in your lifetime. You should master money, you should master love, you should master health, and you should master spirituality. And if you achieve all 4 masteries, then you're going to be a balanced human being.
Mhm.
And according to Malcolm Gladwell hours, I've mastered 32 different things, but those are the 4 basics that I think everyone's got to have in their life. And I put money first. I didn't develop them all simultaneously. Being 26 and having just made that my life, though, like I was ready to start stepping into some new things after that. But I would say that money kind of had a grip on like dominating my time for probably a decade.
Mhm.
There was a decade, it wasn't until probably my mid 30s before I was like, okay, wait a second. Like, I got to stop and figure out how to live my most ideal life. I had a buddy of mine that had died in this tragic paragliding accident. He's one of the top 100 YouTubers in the world. Grant Thompson was my dear friend. And the day he died was the day I started really rethinking my life and saying, hey, I have had 2 other young buddies my age die this year as well. Kris, like, what if you were next? What if you got hit by that proverbial bus? Like, would you truly be proud of your life, or what's undone? And so I took out a blank piece of paper and I said, I'm going to recreate my entire 168-hour a week schedule from scratch. And what I decided was I'm going to do social media on Mondays. I'm going to work from home Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wednesday is all day for my wife. Friday is all day for my kids. Saturday is all day for me. Sunday is all day for God. And my morning routine will start at 4 a.m. and will go till 9 a.m. And Monday through Friday, I'll put in 5 hours into myself every single morning. And then the evenings, no one is ever going to get an obligation out of me. It's just for me, friends, and family.
Mm.
And I put that world together, and that was years ago. And I've been reaping the benefits of that. And now my life is in balance. I don't ever work generally more than 25 hours a week. My wife and I spend more than enough time together. Same with me and my family. I've got time for hobbies and friends and play and growth and developing myself. And so the balance of my morning routine that allows me to educate and read books and do my meditations, but also work out really hard at the gym and have family time. There's this balance in those 4 masteries right now where they're all present every single day in beautiful quantities. But no, it took me a while to get there.
Yeah, no, that's so valuable. That's priceless. Do you think that someone can start that way, or they have to have an imbalance to get that,
Revelation.
well, to
Yeah.
roll that boulder down the hill, like to start it?
Listen, I think that you can achieve it both ways. I'm an obsessive personality.
Mhm.
So like, I believe there's power in obsession. Often when people are like, oh yeah, I want to become a real estate investor, I'm going to work on that for 2 hours a week. I'm like, good luck. A decade from now, you're going to be nowhere. You know why? You're not putting in enough juice. So I'm not saying this is the way to be. I'm just a super obsessive personality. When I latch onto something, I usually don't let go until I figured it out.
Yeah.
And so I refuse failure, and I just stick with something until I got it. And so I'm not saying that's the healthiest way, but if you think about the game of momentum, the science of momentum, momentum is what you get on your side when you put enough energy into something to get it forward. The game is, how do I obsess without abandoning my faith or my family or those things? And thank God I found a way to do that. But no, the balance is really, really perfect today. And there's no inducement, there's no significance or successful win that I could have that could really take me away from what my balance is today, because that's the ultimate win for me. That's really what my definition of wealth is. It's the biohacking. It's having an anti-aging strategy to be 140 years old. It's having all of the time with my family and loved ones. And then just all the play and the travel and the fun.